Welcome to E360 TV, the live streaming and on-demand destination for influential voices and enlightened audiences. We offer trending, grassroots, and purpose-driven content across a diverse range of interests. E360 TV is more than just watching programs. We offer the ability to interact with live shows connecting audiences to real, authentic influencers and storytellers while streaming to millions of devices. Real experiences. Raw conversation. One destination for it all. E360 TV.
Hello, hello, hello. I have a question for you. Have you ever felt completely lost? You know, seeking purposeful direction that could and should propel your mission within your divine journey to that next level, but still it hasn't happened. Well, my name is Lauren Michaels Harris, and I'm the founder of P3, the Journey Series. People come to me because they're wounded. Many are scared, and even there are those who are bruised simply because they feel that they are increasingly, for whatever reason, losing their ability to dream. Now, this P3 program is not for a person who's just looking to start a business, no, but rather for those of you out there who have been on your journey and you've been navigating within your divine purpose, but you still desire to elevate to that level that you have not reached yet. If this is appealing, if this describes you, then I want to have a chat with you. I want to hear your story. So use the link below to get registered for your free seat at P3, the Journey Series. And let's get started, one story at a time. I'll see you inside. Click the link.
You can navigate the legal and emotional journey of divorce and exit a marriage the way you entered it, with mindfulness, love, and respect. Solace Divorce Mediation is a full-service law practice helping couples focus on the health and well-being of children and their forever co-parenting family. Our streamlined divorce journey offers flat fees with an estimated completion time frame of 2 to 4 months. If you or a friend need us, visit solacedivorce.com.
Before you get it, baby, show me your soul. And honey, I'll show you mine. I'll show you mine. Oh, I'm standing right here holding up a sign, shamelessly displaying my state of mind. You walk right past me, pretending like you don't see what's yours for the taking tonight.
Oh, who didn't secretly wish to be in the handbell choir in high school? Me? I thought they were those gloves, right? I mean, if they would have had gloves that came up here, like some long opera ones, I might have got in. But those ones they had, not for me. I'm ringing the bell of purpose this morning because I didn't slip on a spiritual banana peel and end up in this chair in this luxurious, a bit too warm robe. I'm here because I'll choose to be. What about you? Good morning and welcome to today's installment of Bathrobe Moments. I'm your host, Dr. Lauren, and boy, what a weekend. Flew by, just like that, gone. What did you do? You know, the leaves are turning here in the Midwest, in the Chicagoland area. I don't know why everybody's out there raking so early. You know, you're still getting your yard cut. Let them just chop them up and pour them somewhere, right? I'll be out there in a couple weeks doing all that. But in the meantime, I'm here with you kicking off today. Guess what? This is the first day of the, look up in the corner. See it over there? Look at the postage stamp. The RPXP, y'all remember, experience. The red pill, y'all remember when I came back. You ain't gonna believe what happened. Oh, Lord, my God, I'll never forget it. That time, remember? Yes. For the next 13 shows, including today's, it is the RPXP experience. 13 people that I met, 13 travelers that I met, 13 game changers that I met who are not only changing my life, but they're about to change yours too. And that is a promise. Oh, you know it's true if the bell of purpose is ringing. Why do I ring it? It is not some kind of little prop or show gimmick. No, it's a reminder. I refer to it as an opportunity because why? We're busy. Yep, I get it. But that bell, just like the truth, it has a ring to it. So when some truth is riding around up in here, I'm going to ring the bell so you can quit flat ironing your hair for just a minute. Quit putting on them big old cow eyelashes for, that's my niece I'm talking. Hi, Ebony. Her eyelashes go way out here. I'm not kidding. It's in. She's 19, right? So anyway, that's the deal. That is the deal. When you hear the bell of purpose, lean in. Okay, something out there for you. Welcome to the show. My sidekick. She's here every day, 50 weeks a year, 7 days a week for 7 straight years. Miss Lucy McGillicuddy Ricardo in the house. Show some love. So anyway, I didn't do much. I got a lot of work done this weekend. Went out to eat once or just once. You know, I went back in the gym last week, right after 45 days of. I go back. I don't watch the scale. I do not do it, but it's Monday, so I weigh in every Monday. I lost. I don't even know how you calculate it. Let's say it was a certain number, blank, 0.60 last week. It was blank, 0.30. Same blank, went from 6 to 3. But that is a start, right? So better than going the opposite direction. All right. So listen, who is here today kicking off this 13-day run, this takeover, if you will, from the RPXP experience, the Red Pill experience, hosted and brought to you by Dr. Monse Shaw and John Block out in San Diego. Evan GALEANO. I know. Do you think he owns a telescope? I'm just saying. Galileo got it pretty close. He is a film director, in my opinion, not a videographer. I've worked with a lot of videographers, and he just doesn't feel like that to me. He seems bigger than that, just in the way he moves around and when you see his work. So Evan is an award-winning filmmaker. Like I said, he's a brand and marketing strategist. He's also the founder of Brand Story Video Marketing Agency. Now, Evan says that he helps entrepreneurs just like you and startups just like you get closer, get clearer on their brand story, and then he helps them capture their story with powerful content that captivates not just your neighborhood, the world, y'all. Ooh, we're talking global, and it's true. I've seen his work. We're going to kick things off today. I can show you better than I can tell you. And if you have a brand that, you're trying to take it to the next level, right? Who isn't? Take a look. This is what Evan did with his own brand story. So you can always tell a great hairdresser by the way her hair looks or not. And you can also tell a great film person when you see, I guess let's just say just a creative, when you see their work. So you guys ready? Okay. So take a look. Here is Evan GALEANO's true life, his own.
This is where video goes beyond just a one-off flash in the pan piece of content and it becomes something more. When I went into film school, I went guns blazing and I learned everything so that I could be the best equipped to tell a story. Each new set I went on to, I just wasn't feeling fulfilled. I still hadn't told my own story. My little brother grew up with severe autism, and my parents did everything they could to support and take care of him. One day, I got a call that we were gonna have to sell the house. I felt this immense amount of pressure. Something had to be done or my family was gonna end up on the street. All I thought I had was the ability to entertain. But it wasn't until that phone call that I realized all that I had done was so I could tell my parents' story, my brother's story. We put together a video that took the audience behind closed doors and we put it out. 300 shares later, we had almost a year of living expenses for my family, to take care of my brother, to get back on their feet. That security was everything for my family up until that point. But that's not the reason why I'm telling you this story. For the first time in my family's life, we were understood. From that moment on, my eyes were wide open. And all I saw were stories that were being misunderstood, that were being swept under the rug. At the height of these stories, I found that business stories were the most important stories to tell. Businesses have the ability to change lives and to transform at a scale unlike any other entity. Where businesses are going wrong is they're so caught up in the selling and the marketing that they've forgotten to give and to share the stories that they got into business for in the first place.
Right.
The stories that unify people are confined in these walls, behind these closed doors that businesses have forgotten to share. They've forgotten to let people in on a deeper level than just making an offer. And so I founded my company.
It's so good. Can I watch it again?
Wait, let's talk about it.
Halfway through the video, I've got goosebumps, and the last 10 seconds, crying. If this video comes out, we're going to be filled up 10 years.
You make things happen. Business is good. Everything is good. Thanks to you.
And it's so beautiful. The world needs to see what you have to offer. But the video definitely sealed the deal. He thinks I have an amazing TED Talk.
So at Brand Story, we tell the stories of businesses who want to impact the world. But we don't stop there because that wouldn't be enough. We go further, making sure that we hardwire and ingrain these videos and these stories into the life of a business, into the communication, into the processes, so that they can continue connecting customers, clients, partners, investors, and withstand the test of time. I want you to know that you don't need me to tell your story. But when you're ready to take a stand for your mission, for your vision, put it into a video that's going to unify others together under a singular cause and get them excited, I want you to reach out to us. So what's your brand story?
You know, you need to quit. Look, I saw you watching. I'm watching with you like, yeah, I did that thing. Yeah, I know you did. You did. I got to give it to you, especially that little piece where you got him walked in front of your crew and that couple in the middle back there talking like, we wasn't paying attention to nothing y'all were doing over there. And then you this little number right here. Yeah. What's your number? Hey girl, how you doing? I know you got a girlfriend, but you probably didn't when you recorded that. How are you, Evan?
I cringe when I watch that, man.
Watch what? This part?
I just the whole thing. It's hard for me to watch myself on camera. I don't like it.
I get that. It takes a minute. You know what I refer to? I always go back to no, you're too young. But for those of you out there from Little House on the Prairie days like me, when we were a kid, we had cassette players. I'll never forget the first time I recorded myself and played it back. I was like, that does not sound like me, So seeing it is like that. But yes or no, you can learn so much from watching yourself. And I always suggest this, if you have with my clients, because you're not the only one, next to public speaking, being 80% of the people are fearful of it, I think probably 60 or 7% of us that do it hate or we push back on watching ourselves. But if you watch yourself with no sound, it's a lot easier and you learn a lot more because you realize you're still telling a story with your body and your hands. You can almost hear what you're saying. Try it. You just might like it. But anyway, welcome to the show. I'm going to try to take it easy on you.
Thanks for having me.
That ain't going to happen, but I'm going to try. So listen, I want to go to my starting point. Beautiful video, by the way. Very touching. It was a lot of things. It was a lot of things. But what grabbed me by the collar, truly, was when you said, as for your speaking to your family for the first time, we were understood. And that is huge. Talk about what you meant when you said that. I remember, can you tell them that story? I've been thinking about it all morning when I was at the health club. The one about when you guys went out to eat and your parents hadn't been out to eat in, I don't think, ever.
Yeah. So growing up, my little brother, he at 2 years old was diagnosed with severe autism, where it pretty much up until that point he was doing pretty well, and then around 2 years old something changed, and so his development stagnated, or he pretty much stayed around a 2-year-old mindset. He was nonverbal moving forward as well, so didn't have much speech, and he would learn, in order for him to get what he wanted, he would yell. So, and he would have different types of yells that he would, like if he was hungry or certain things he needed. For him, that was his form of communication. It wasn't so much as much of like an option. So going on into public, it would be difficult because people would often stare or give us weird looks, like when they hear, like, what's that yell? You know, people it would like disturb their day and everything. You know, it pretty much made me realize from a young age.
Do you mind?
Yeah.
Jesus.
From a young age, I just remember
that kind of shit.
Yeah, and I remember feeling from a young age that sense of judgment and that sense of constant eyeballs and stares and glares and just like we're doing something wrong for existing and just walking down the street. And so I remember one day in particular, we went to this Mexican restaurant, Acapulco, and we were all sitting there, and then my brother started acting up a bit, started yelling. So my dad got up and removed himself and took my brother outside, and me and my mom are sitting there talking, and it was like they tried their best to shield me from this type of stuff. So I just.
How old were you at the time, Evan? By the way,
I think I was 7 or 8 years old.
Okay.
And I remember this was like one of my first core memories of seeing what my parents had to go through on a daily basis in order to give us a normal life, like take us out to a restaurant. So at the end of the day, or at the end of the meal, we walked out of the restaurant, and going towards the car, my dad basically told us that this lady came up and told him that he had ruined her meal. My brother had ruined her meal, and how ashamed that my dad should be. And my dad said, "Excuse me, he has autism." And so we're trying our best here. But she, despite hearing that, still said, "Well, it's not his fault. It's your fault. You should learn to discipline him better." And so
discipline? He didn't do anything wrong.
Yeah. And it's just funny because he removed himself from the restaurant. He did everything that he could to possibly, and her name was probably Karen. Uh-oh. I think I lost you for a second, Dr. Lauren. A little frozen. Hello? Am I frozen or are you frozen? I don't know. I don't know who's frozen.
We're back. Oh, I should have told you backstage. If I freeze or disappear, and just entertain, tap dance or something until I get back. Do something.
Okay. All right.
Okay.
I hear you.
So let me ask you why you think that day stands out, because I'm sure you have a lot of stories in this end, but what was it about that particular? Here's where I'm going. Here's what I want. You're gonna love this. You ready for this? I'm getting ready to drop it like it's hot, for real. Because I'm gonna tell you, I'm gonna be honest. I was stumped this morning. I was on a treadmill. I was like, that Evan's on the show today. How am I gonna he's so everything, so compelling, so creative, so this. How am I gonna make it ultra interesting? Like it's easy to do with the normal Joe, but you're a bit more of a challenge. But it came while you were just now speaking. So I want to go here today. I want to talk about, why this moment stands out, why you feel this moment stands out more than others, or why you chose to use that moment. So we're going to talk about 3 lenses that all of us have access to. The lens that we find the courage to eventually peek through, the lens that we eventually find the courage to look through, and then that lens somewhere along the journey where we finally find the power to stare through, which means things you scared of, because I've had things in my life, tell me if you haven't ever, where I won't go in there, but I'll hold a mirror up to look around the corner. It's just, you see what I'm saying? So it's all about perspective, the way we see things. And so I'm watching your work and what you do, and I can relate to a lot of that for a lot of reasons. Let's talk about that lens that you meet with people. You meet people at this lens called the peek through lens in my world, where, they want to, well, let's talk about this, but you better not put that in there. All right. My mama might see this. Right. You know what I'm saying? Talk about how you get people to there in the beginning or there once upon a time, because every story has to start at the beginning of a learning, teaching, healing point, not in the middle. Talk about how challenging that is and how you get people there.
Yeah, I think for a lot of people, it's difficult to look back through that lens that you're mentioning, back at the plot points that really shaped who they are. I think because there's a lot of darkness in the adversities that we've had to face, and we don't like to look through that lens often because there is a lot of fear. There's a lot of unresolved trauma that people don't realize that, having never really stared through the lens. That's something that I think I had to stare through in order to help my family at a time of need. I had to look back at that problem we faced of never being truly understood by our community. Even going to our church, for instance, where you think that that's the community that's supposed to understand you and be close to you and things like that.
Yeah. Is there any place safer?
Right. And still there would be the stares and there would be the judgment and it just came from a lack of understanding when it came down to it, because and I think that I got lucky enough to see that through the short film that I produced that won some awards when I was in college. It was my senior thesis film called Second Born. And when I produced that film, which was about some pretty intense themes about homophobia and about certain themes that I wanted to speak on. Having grown up in a town that was supposed to be progressive, but still had a lot of, hashtag shameless plug.
I know, but I said that because I want you to repeat the name of it, because I know my audience. Yeah. Like, what did he say it was? What did he say the name of it was? Because they want to Google it.
I can link it. Yeah, but
good. Okay.
It's called Second Born, and it was a coming of age short film about a main character who was homophobic. And when I put that film out and it ended up going and winning awards, I was at a lot of the screenings and audience members would come up afterwards, or there would be panels and people would talk about how it opened their eyes. They never truly understood that homophobia was still a thing. Like a lot of people out here in California, San Diego, all this, it's like almost like they live in a bubble where they're like, all the problems are solved. Racism is ended. Homophobia is ended. It's all better now. And you take them out of that and you drop them into a situation that was based on stuff I read in the Rolling Stone and in different magazines and newspapers that was still happening last year. People were being bullied who were the amount of teens committing suicide, getting kicked out of their homes in the Midwest and the Bible Belt South and all of these places. So I think that I got lucky to see that the power of storytelling at that time when I put that film out. And I realized that like the weapon that storytelling is in shaping hearts and minds and creating differences and actually shifting perspectives and getting people to understand.
Storytelling is So storytelling to me is like, because it's the same thing. We do the same thing through a different portal, right? Our divine gifts. But storytelling for me is like, I feel like a LASIK surgeon when I am able to effectively storytell, because I remove the cataracts. I'm able to remove the, take out that cloudy pupil or whatever it is that is obscuring that view of authenticity. And it's a powerful thing. You're absolutely right. But let's go to that thing, since we're using all these metaphors about sight and vision and eyes and all of that and lenses. What about when in judgment? I wrote that down. Judgment is a big piece. It's why you don't like watching yourself. It's why I don't like watching myself. It's why it's why people slow down. Have you ever been on a freeway or something and you think, ooh, my Lord, it's 3 miles we're backed up, must be a horrible accident, and then you get up there, it's a flat tire because everybody had what happened? Anybody dead? Everybody, right? A fire. The whole neighborhood has to come and stand there. But nobody comes back 5 years later when it's the same empty lot and says, whatever happened to that family that got burned out? Remember them? Wonder if what that little girl grow up to be or anything. You see what I'm saying? But we love to look at it in real life, because I think a lot of us go, ooh, boo, sure am glad that ain't me. You see what I'm saying? So what have you learned by watching how people stare? You see what I'm saying? Because I would think they would know to just, look and get your little look in. You're human, but then go back to what you're doing. But they don't. They stare at the things. What do you think it is? Do you think they're afraid of it? Are they afraid of something in themselves? What is it, Evan?
I think
answer the world's problems, Evan.
I think that everyone has this innate desire to understand, to create understanding around something that they don't understand. And so they're quick to judge in order to give themselves some sort of sense of their reality. Like they need to understand what's going on. And oftentimes when there isn't enough clues to put the puzzle together, they just decide for themselves about a situation before they even understand what's really going on. So when it came to my family and my brother, they'd hear a kid yelling, they look over, they don't know about autism, they don't know about mental illness, and so they just assume, wow, that family's just letting their kid just act out. And when the woman came up and then asked my dad about it, and he even straight up told her he's autistic, rather than, at that point, the judgment's already been made. So then I also noticed that a lot of people, they prefer to stand in the initial judgment, their initial ego, whatever side of the fence that they've planted their feet on, they're just going to stay there because it's easier. They identify with that choice.
Yeah.
And so this is where I think the source of most of our major conflict, disagreement, and problems in society stem from is for some reason, I don't know if it's the culture. I don't know if it's an American thing or if it's a human thing, but specifically I don't know. I've noticed in America, people really, they pick a hill pretty quick to die on.
So let me ask you this, because I'm an inquiring mind. In other words, i.e. nosy, and I want to know, because we all deal with it. We all deal with it in our personal lives, in our business lives, just in general. We deal with it. And what I'm talking about is it's a real challenge. Let's talk about you when you're working with clients on that story. A lot of people, I get a lot of people that come to me for personal coaching, right? And the first thing, anything that's on my calendar, any meeting, first thing I say to people, some of you out there know, because it was the way the door opened up to our relationship. I'll say, and I'll ask, and I really want to know. So tell me, Evan, what is it you do every day that you feel eases a little bit of suffering in this world? And the reason I love that question is because either they go, or they go, They're looking for it. And I'm like, mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Right. But either way, and it's not from a judgmental place that I go, mm-hmm, but keep looking because you need to find it. So I want to ask you this, because a lot of people, I say, so what is your message? People don't realize that your brand story, to me, is as important, if not more important, than your logo, than your brand colors, your hex codes, your font that you chose, and all the little things that we spend so much time thinking about and fixating on, marketing things, ad spends, clicks per this and that. But what we don't spend enough time on, in my opinion, is this. Because here's why I believe what you're doing is so wonderful. Not just because of the quality of the storytelling you pull off, but that stories will always tell something about your journey. Opinions will always mean what people said about your journey. Their opinion was what they had to say, but your story is what you give them to tell. Let me tell you about this guy 100 years ago. His name was Evan GALEANO. You know, he changed the way people did business with this little thing called brand story. The reason today that we're able to fill it in, you see, and that is like, so let's talk about that. How many people, without mentioning names, let's say on a scale of 1 to 10 clients come in. How many of those think they know, I know what my brand story is. I'm going to just go in there and tell this Evan. He ain't going to tell me what my brand story is. And then they're looking at you like, you're looking at them like, what'd you say? You shitting me, right? Yeah, you know it. You know it. Talk about that, though. And why is it that so many people have such a misconception of what their brand story truly is?
Yeah, I think that a lot of people that I end up working with, it's about half and half, I'd say, where half of them are like, yeah, I know what my story is. I just need you to shoot the video for it. And I think that those people, maybe they have figured out their story, but they still haven't found a way to connect it to their audience truly in a way that gets the audience to lean forward and lean in. They haven't really put a hook to it. They haven't found their hook, like what gets the audience to even like in that initial 3 seconds, because we live in a 3-second world now. So there's certain frameworks that I bring to the table that I think even some of the big players that I've worked with, for instance, like Agora Financial, the reason they brought me in the room in the first place, sometimes, they'll bring me in the room and then they'll act like, oh, we got it all. We got to figure it out. You're here to it's more than just a pretty video. There's strategy that goes into these things. And ultimately there's the story is one thing. And then it's how do we translate that into content, and content that is concise and hits to the point, right? Because it's so easy to get lost in tangents on your content. It's so easy to go down rabbit holes or to not really understand what's going to hook your audience, what's going to resonate with them. So what ends up happening is you tell your story, but it comes off as either just a little bit like disconnected and a little bit like from a heady place or from an ego.
Okay, I was like, don't be afraid to cuss on here. You can say ego.
Yeah, it comes.
I consider ego a cuss word oftentimes. Really,
I see a lot of specifically like starting brands, or I see this. It's notorious in like the real estate space or like the info product space, where people are trying to come off like some kind of wealth guru, where their whole thing is just them pointing to their Lamborghini, like their nice house, this and that, and saying, look at me, look how cool I am, is pretty much the message that they're subconsciously putting forward in a lot of their content. And there's just zero human connection that's happening there. They're like, they don't realize it, but content is essentially just an extension of your communication that you would have in real life. So it's
there's no nutrition in it. It's like giving a starving person a rice cake. I'll wait. I'm good. I'll wait until somebody throws me at least a cheeseburger, but thank you anyway. So let me ask you this. What is it that you hear from your clients is the biggest improvement that they see happen first in their business once they get their brand story out there? What is that thing that they go, I couldn't have seen that coming. If you'd have told me, I wouldn't have believed it. What is that thing?
Yeah, I think that there is a lot of tangible results that they weren't expecting. That happens when you tell your story in a very 2-3 minute container, and it almost becomes more powerful than the 20-30 minute spiel that they would have to then doing on a sales call, right? I think that the number one thing would be they're saving time on sales calls. For instance, my client Kyla, she was just starting her business. She had 0 paying clients. When we put out her brand story, she only had about a following of 500. So she didn't have the biggest following, but just putting that out within 48 hours, she had landed 5 clients, paying full price, high ticket coaching program for her. So she went from within 48 hours, an idea for a coaching business to a 5-figure coaching business. Then that she stayed consistently in the 5 figures month after month with that video. And the reason is because of that understanding, right? People already came to the sales call, how they had seen the 2-minute video. They fully understood not only her story, but because of the way that we had communicated her story and connected it to her clients, they fully related to her. They've seen it, and proof is in the pudding. So seeing is believing. They've seen it, so they believe it way more than just hearing it from her or reading it on her website.
Yeah.
Seeing like the proof, we've given them the proof, we've shown them the transformation, and then ultimately they would come on to sales calls ready to buy. They wouldn't have much more questions. So also save Kyla a lot of time that would typically be having to justify herself, justify her prices. It would already be justified through
overselling and all that stuff that, let your work speak for itself.
Right. And it lets the client sit back and lets people now come to them. It creates a much more powerful frame for them to sit in going into a sales call.
And let's keep it real, because I'm a big guru on this sales shit. Seriously, because you all know, I will not set my pinky toe, will not get on a stage where there is selling going on. I don't play that. And it doesn't happen at my events. No offense to what other people do. It's just not how this boy rolls. I don't. So, and I'll tell you why. Because I tell people, I don't sell you anything. I tell you everything and it sells itself. Mm-hmm. That's what that is. So I want to ask you this. If you were working with me, saying you and I were on a sales call, we're on that discovery call. So this is a trick question. I'm giving you heads up. It's a trick question. You ready? Which one of these approaches from me, the client, is closer to the real thing you're looking for? If I were to say, so tell me, Evan, who is this brand story going to be about? Or, so tell me, Evan, what is this brand story going to be about? What is the W, the question word? Who or what? Or is it both?
I think that initially people think that the brand story is going to be about them.
Oh, see how I did that?
But that's not what the brand story is about. It's about It's not about you. Again.
What? Oh, excuse me. I have 14 outfits. It took me 3 weeks to come up with out in the car. What do you mean it's not about me? My entourage is coming this afternoon. We have Perrier to drink. What do you mean it's not about me? What else is there?
Yeah. So the brand story is it's really important to understand the intention of telling your story, because it's going to predicate how you tell it and also who's going to pay attention. And I think that anyone who comes up to the room and wants to share their story simply because they want to be the loudest voice in the room and they want to just tell people about them, you're going to find that most people are going to go, oh God, here we go.
It's a turnoff.
It's a turnoff, right?
Marsha.
And this is why a lot of content is hurting as opposed to helping brands, because a lot of content comes from that place of I have to make content. Okay, let's write it up in a way that makes me look good. And it's coming from this approach that is completely disregarding the audience. The audience is second to the content creator. And that's just not how good content works. Your audience, the story is about your audience. Exactly. And it's about how to tell the story in a way that relates to, if you are telling a story about yourself, how does it relate to the audience? Why do they care? That's where we start.
How important is the connection between you and a client as far as trust? in order to pull this off? Because, you know, a lot of people hold back stuff.
Yeah.
They want you to like them. They want to put, you know, for you to see them fully made up. They don't want you to see them right when they wake up and their breath stinking and all this stuff. You know, they want you to think I always look like this. You know this. They know it's not. We all know, but we pretend we don't. How do you get past that spot with people? How do you?
I think it's a process. It's a process once they realize what they've signed up for. Even some of the heavy hitters I've worked with who were like well known in their industry and their space didn't realize how petrified they would be going into the interview, because they're realizing, oh God, I am going into this and Evan has got me to this place of real authenticity, vulnerability. I've never been here, and I've been on camera plenty of times. I've done, you know, for instance, a client of mine, Adam Urbanski, worked with him back in 2019. And this was an interview we had after his interview where we got, you know, he got on camera and was talking about, you know, he's never told his story in this way where he was so vulnerable. And he had been doing it for a long time. But I think that it was a process of discovering for me that the more I did it, the more like I'd hear, you know, you're really not a video guy. You're like almost like a therapist. Like I've heard that like you're like a therapist, or I've heard, for instance, from Dr. Andrea, who just became a best-selling author, one of my previous clients, that she had spent hundreds of hours, tens of thousands of dollars, I think $50,000 on branding, marketing, learning all the strategies, the tactics, how to create the client avatar, how to create the messaging and do all of these things. But
all those funnels,
all the tactics, right? And ultimately she had not cracked it until she said we worked together on telling her brand story. And in those 2 minutes, she realized, and I think it was in doing that work, doing the deep work of looking through that lens, looking through my lens back at themselves, seeing things they had never seen about how their story connects to their customer, how they are not only selling to a niche or whatever the tactics tell you, you know, sell to a niche, sell to your audience, find the target audience. They are their client. They are their target audience is something that Dr. Andrea mentioned.
Origin story, something that comes up in the discovery process. You know what I'm saying? Are people shocked when they hear that? Well, you know, we're going to have to bring in your origin story. And how is it like you're talking Mandarin Chinese off and on? Like, what is that? What do you mean my origin story? Talk about that piece. How important is that?
Yeah, I think that most people haven't, they've got their brand story down. They think they've got their brand story, like the story about their brand or business, but they don't realize that truly the deepest parts of our brand comes from within, like the reasons we're in business.
It is.
You know, it's not from like any of the exterior stuff. We did the external stuff, like the color choices and things like that, and the design of the website. Like that's not your brand. The brand comes from who you are and what you were doing and how you do it, how you put it out in the world, from within. So for instance, like with my brand story, right? It's when I speak from within about the problems, the vulnerabilities I face, the adversities that I've overcome. Those plot points take a lot of time to become, like for some reason, when it comes to our own stories, we never look through that lens. We've never really taken the time to chart the plot points of what shaped us and got us into the position we are currently, like the work we do. And
I'm sitting up here thinking, I remember when I learned the difference in my life in general. It kind of was a bridge between my origin story and my brand story. Seriously. And what it was is I had to learn the difference. I thought at that point that vulnerable meant exposed. You know what I'm saying? Like vulnerable, like Eve was exposed. That's why she put the fig leaf in front of her, you know what her, you know, ooh, wait, ooh, is my, ooh, you know, right. But exposed, okay, my elbow's exposed, but I don't feel vulnerable. You know what I'm saying? So talk about the difference between being exposed and being vulnerable. Because a lot of people protect themselves through that exposure door, I think. What's your experience with that, Evan?
Yeah, I think that when you do the work on understanding the plot points that shaped you, including the ones that maybe we're ashamed of or some stuff from the past that was hard to deal with, through that process of speaking out on those plot points, there's a liberation to it. There's a catharsis. There's an emotional release, and that's why therapy is so huge, right? Is because just speaking through that stuff is a form of acceptance that it happened. It allows you to let go of some of that pent up, some of that built in trauma. And once that happens, then I'd say you're more ready, and then, more ready to speak on it to an audience, because once you've done that work to process and contextualize it, put meaning to it, and how it shaped you, and how you're going to not let things from your past define who you are, but still own that these things happened, but that you've grown, or that you're able to form this meaning of how it's turned you into a better person because of it.
Yeah.
And that is, I'd say, the work that I do with my clients, is getting them to that point where they can speak on it, not from a place of exposure, of feeling like that they're all of a sudden their dirty laundry is exposed to the world, but rather speaking on it from a place of empowerment, a place of being able to tell your audience, I am human. I am also not perfect.
Exactly.
I'm not some guy on the internet, or some person that is claiming to be perfect.
A cyborg.
Yeah. Shiny suit, nice house, this
all
one, that.
Right.
Yeah.
So speaking of authenticity, and I'm not a cyborg kind of deal. What about this person? Well, I got some software. I know how to make some good videos. And now with AI at my fingertips, I can just punch in a few prompts and it's going to give me my brand story. So, what about that? Now what are you going to do, Mr. Evan? Nobody's going to need you in a minute.
Yeah.
Because AI will be able to do this for us. Or will it?
It's so funny.
Oh,
I just think it's hilarious that people here, and even clients of mine, recent clients, have pointed to like, oh, we use AI. Don't worry, we'll use AI to
figure out that piece of the story.
And I literally just want to go like, oh my God, like, why do you think your funnel wasn't converting? Why do you think your content is ass? Like, garbage.
Why indeed?
You think AI is going to do a better job than you can as a human being to relate?
Some people are already buying that. They're hoping for it.
Yeah, it's like there's a reason why the world's leading copywriters, commercial creators, why they get paid what they get paid, and why AI is going to cost you $5 a month subscription. It's garbage. It's not going to understand. It's going to be following those tactics and all of these things that it finds on Google, and it's going to regurgitate whatever you put into it.
Exactly.
Into some type of template, but it's never going to replace the human's ability to create meaning, to create emotional resonance with an audience when you come from a place of your humanity. People are craving humanity. People are scrolling nonstop because they're seeking something real amidst all of the fake shit on social media. And so you have a chance as a business owner, as an entrepreneur, if you have a purpose and you have something that is unique about what you do, something unique about who you are, then it's about you have to share that with the world, or they're not going to know. They're not going to understand your value.
Can you hear me? Okay.
Yeah.
And so I want to now turn. Doggone it! I told you in Chicago. I tell them this every day. We get our cable from the dollar store here in Chicago. We do. Clearly. Look, I want to ask you. So now we have our brand story. We've gone through, and it was not easy, but we have it. Yes, hallelujah. Now, what in the world am I supposed to do with it? Where does it go? Do I just stick it up as a playing a video that opens on my website and leave it there? Do I cut it up in tiny little pieces and send it out like content sushi? What do I do with it once I have it? And who's going to help show me what to do with it, Evan? What do I do now?
So we also help with implementation of the brand story. And
you do?
Yes. So it is the single most powerful asset of communication that I found once implemented into the business. And we start with implementing it into every current process, every current communication process. So every social media that they currently are on, every single audience that they already have, we're making sure that they all see it. We're putting it across, pinning it across socials, and also putting it right at the top of the website, because this is now the centerpiece brand. 2 minutes, 3 minutes, people are going to understand, and the right customers is going to call forward, where they are going to be reaching out to you after they've seen it. They're going to figure out how to get in contact with you. So we put it across every platform. Then after we've put it across all the current processes, that's when we start getting into the new, whether we're running ads to it, or running ads to a shortened version of it that gets people onto the website to watch the longer version, to build the following. We're also, when we sit down to do the brand story, we have different types of packages. So like our starting package is just a brand story, and that's what you get. And that's in and of itself 5+ years you can get out of a single brand. Like, I'm still using mine from 4 years ago, and so are most of my clients, because they're designed in a way to be timeless. They're designed in a way to tell your story where 5 years from now it's still going.
Well, why do you think they're timeless? Because the truth never changes.
Right.
It never gets old. It doesn't get skinny or fat. The truth is going to be the truth 50 years, 100 years, 1,000,000 years from now. You put the truth out there, it's going to stay there just like that. Yeah. And I just want to say this. That's one of the main reasons I love what the brand story is doing for people is this. It is like a time capsule, a place where you can leave. I feel that way about the masterclasses we do. Same thing. You're verbally speaking, right? Because now it's going to stay just the way you left it. Just the way you left it. I love that.
Yeah, yes. It's really bottling their legacy is the way I see it, right?
Exactly.
I see my clients' videos from 5 years ago, and it's still impacting people's lives. My clients still reach out and say, my clients still to this day tell me that this video is the reason why they decided to break their stigmas and then give my out-of-the-box methods a try, was because of this video. And so I'd say that to answer your previous question, which is what we do, aside from the brand story, that's when we go into the higher up packages. That's when you get into creating also the supplemental, the content. The way we treat that is the content is essentially short ways of still telling your story. And then when you put the content over 3 to 6 months and you get a campaign around that content, so the content doesn't just exist in silos, but the content achieves a longer narrative over the course of 2-3 months to 6 months with your audience, that's when you start to see a lot of breakthroughs with people growing their social media followings, getting their first viral video, when they start to really put out their story in these different. And what we're doing is we're treating this as a testing period, where we're seeing what lands with the audience, so that we can take the next step forward, and then we can start to scale it. We can take the best content, we can put it into ads now, because we've got the insights, we track the data, and now we can move forward even more effectively.
Absolutely. One thing I want to say in closing that I have found in my own brand, that I'm so grateful to be able to keep my fingers on the pulse of this particular piece of growth within my work, is that having a brand story or something the equivalent thereof is really great, because as you change and grow, when you watch and you see this, you know that you hear the verses of the song that haven't been released to the world yet. In other words, you're still writing this story. A lot of us forget that. And like people who inherited like third generation things, well, it's not your grandmother's business anymore, or your grandfather's ranch anymore. The ground and the soil and the boundaries may be the same, but the spirit behind the work is different. because we're in a different world and we're different characters. So I also say that it's just so many different ways to slice this up, and no matter how you slice it, your story is your truth. It is what you're leaving for people. When you emblaze your story on the hearts of people, it lives on, or has an opportunity to live on the tongues of people, which means they're going to whisper. We can't all assume that one day these videos will be something that people can get away with watching without losing their lives. History, books, same thing. Wherever you leave your story, you should make sure you leave it on the hearts of people first. That's how it will stay and remain on their tongues. Listen, there was a guy back 100 years ago. His name was GALEANO. Yeah, he was telling people back then they're just now. It's not new. They just didn't want us to know. I'm telling you, it is the truth, especially with things going where they're going with AI, this and the other. I love what you're doing, because when people start sharing and telling their stories, that's what it's all about. That's what it's all about. How do people, when they follow this link, and we're going to put it inside the comment section immediately following the wrap up here in just a moment for easy access. Evan, tell them what they'll find there. Anything in particular they ought to be on the lookout for when they follow this link?
Yeah, so I'll go ahead and I'll link my website. We are booked out for the year, but January is now being filled. So, you know, we try to keep the quality, right? And so I'm building my team right now to a point where we're going to be able to take on more work, but for now, like, keep it to 3 to 4 clients max per month to really give them the time to craft the story and to have that creative energy, because there's a lot of creative energy that goes into this stuff, and a lot of just honestly a lot of time and effort. And so this link takes you to my solo page where it's got my email, you got all my socials linked, and then at the bottom, and then it's got my website where you can find more information about what we do, more of our work, as well as a Calendly booking link. If you'd like to book a coffee with me, I'm happy to have a coffee with anyone and talk to them about their story. I also have the short film that I can link as well.
I know. I love playing with these. You're a film director. I figure you'd understand and appreciate a couple SFX. So,
I can appreciate it.
Right. And how many people on your team, real quick, as we get out of here?
Right now, we've got 4, and I'm looking to expand. I'm looking for right now a media buyer. Talking with a friend from college. She's done some ads. So that's the next step for us to scale the company as well. Is I've got 2 proteges who are now going to be stepping into the director role and producing role. So essentially, I'll be able to have multiple units shooting at any given time, as well as multiple editors. So I can focus primarily on the grander creative vision for brand story, as well as for our clients, and just like be able to essentially produce, fall back into more of a producing role. So I'm excited.
You should be. And you all, I hope this excites you just a little bit to do better, be better. Everything you have deserves an E and an R attached to it. So get in and check out Brand Story and take everything you've written through your hard-earned time, money, tears, you name it. Take great to greater, bright to brighter, strong to stronger through your brand story. Follow the link and follow your way to Evan GALEANO. Evan, thank you. I'm giving you the turnstile invitation, my man, which means you're welcome back here anytime you need to. I'm looking forward to everything you've got coming in the new year. And you guys get out there and check Evan and his team out. They're growing. And if you feel like hey, how do I get inside and work from within? Go over. It's a ground floor opportunity. Go in and make the call and get to know these folks. Thank you. And listen, it is Takeover week. Tomorrow we have Chris Gandy, the
awesome
wizard. Yeah, Chris Gandy's here tomorrow.
I'll definitely watch that one.
Yes. So tune in. Oh boy, gonna get out of that tax matrix. Gonna show you how to do a whole lot more with money you used to just give away. We're gonna have that and more all week, next week, and 3 days into the 3rd week. So don't miss it. Listen, get out of here. Have the best day ever. Do whatever you need to do to find that highest self in this day, which is you. I'm Lauren, and I'll see you again tomorrow, God willing, right over there on the front porch. We're together. We'll create another divine moment in time. Get out of here. And as always, I tell you, I love you, and there's not a damn thing you can do about it. Okay, Evan, take care. Great job, my man. Great
Thank
job.
you, Dr. Lauren.
Great story.
Thanks
Check
for
it out.
having me, man.
All right. You too. Bye, all. Have a great day.
Show me your soul. Baby, I'll show you mine. Show me your soul. Honey, it's way past time. How expensive do I have to be? Need I spell it out before you get it, baby? Show me your soul. And honey, I'll show you mine. I'll show you mine. Boy, I'm standing right here holding up a sign, shamelessly displaying my state of mind.